The Steam Deck is the benchmark for affordable gaming hardware. Valve built it with a very specific strategy. They subsidize the cost of the physical device to keep the entry price low, knowing they will make their money back whenever you buy a game on their store. But that predictable pricing recently broke. Overnight, the 1 terabyte OLED model saw a $300 price hike, a 45% increase on a piece of hardware that was designed from the beginning to be cheap. And this wasn't an isolated spike. Xbox, PlayStation 5, and the Mac Mini line all saw their prices climb. Even Nintendo, who rarely adjusts hardware costs mid-cycle, added $50 to the projected price of the Switch 2 before it even shipped. While consumers initially pointed to corporate greed or aggressive price gouging, the manufacturers are actually reacting to a deeper shift in the market. The cost of the building blocks inside these devices, specifically the memory and storage chips, has experienced a massive systemic spike. The price of the silicon required to make a computer function, a force entirely outside the consumer market, has begun to dictate the cost of the hardware on our shelves. The underlying silicon supply chain has been hijacked. 90% of the world's memory production is controlled by just 3 companies: Samsung and SK Hynix in South Korea, and Micron in the US. Their primary output is standard DRAM. These are simple, flat silicon wafers that power everyday devices, from your smartphone to your laptop. But an entirely new architecture has disrupted the factory floor: HBM, or high bandwidth memory. This is the specific high-performance memory required to run large-scale AI models. Unlike flat memory, HBM stacks up to 16 silicon dies vertically, with thousands of parallel data channels drilled through. One microscopic defect ruins the entire stack, failing 40% of production. Ultimately, 1 gigabyte of HBM demands 3 times the factory capacity of standard memory. This creates a physical zero-sum game. Every high-profit AI chip produced effectively destroys the manufacturing capacity for everyday consumer memory. When the AI boom accelerated, data center operators began offering massive profit margins to secure HBM production. In response, the memory triopoly began aggressively reallocating their finite factory floor space away from standard DRAM to capture those AI profits. This raises a simple question: why not just build more factories to meet the demand of both markets? The industry is haunted by the 1990s. Back then, too many companies built too much memory, leading to overproduction that crashed prices and bankrupted almost everyone in the market. The 3 survivors now follow a strict rule for staying in business: never make enough memory. By deliberately ensuring that demand remains unmet, they keep prices high and avoid another market collapse. Even if they chose to expand today, a new multi-billion-dollar facility takes 5 years to become fully operational. The shortage of consumer memory is not a temporary glitch. It is a guarded economic strategy designed to prevent prices from ever returning to their previous lows. Consumer brands are already adapting to these costs by quietly downgrading the specifications of their hardware. We are seeing this regression in the laptop market, where upcoming 2026 Windows machines are reverting to 8 gigabytes of RAM just to keep the retail price under $1,000. Since modern laptops often solder this RAM directly to the board, you can never upgrade it. You are stuck with 2026 hardware that will feel obsolete within a few years of purchase. This pricing pressure flows directly into the secondary market. Because new hardware is so expensive, people are holding on to their old devices longer, which dries up the supply of used tech and keeps those prices high as well. We see a cycle of intense outrage every time a company announces these new prices. People swear they won't pay the markup, but after a few months, the shock wears off. People buy the devices anyway, the outrage fades into complacency, and the inflated price becomes the new standard. The massive physical footprint of the AI revolution has cannibalized the consumer supply chain. It has turned today's price hikes into tomorrow's unquestioned baseline.